Welcome to Sustainable Process Improvement. I'm Dr. Grinnell. By the end of this video, you'll be able to complete a Sustainable Six Sigma DMAIC Process Improvement and a Sustainable Lean 6S Waste Audit. We've been talking about Total Quality Management, TQM, and Total Quality Environmental Management, or TQEM. What is the difference between TQM, or in our case TQEM, and Six Sigma? Well, Six Sigma has audacious goals, as can be seen here. We've grown to expect phenomenally small error rates in airline flight safety. Most of the best manufacturers can manage a 5 sigma defect rate. The average is 4 sigma, which you can see is 6 problems for every 10,000 products. Interestingly, the IRS only achieves a 2 sigma correct answer rate, meaning that almost a third of their answers are wrong, and hiring managers only make correct decisions at a 1.6 sigma rate, or about half the time. Well, what is Six Sigma? Well, sigma refers to standard deviations, which in statistics is a measure of how close the numbers are to the average or the mean, or if there's a large number of positive or negative numbers skewing the direction of the curve. Six Sigma was developed by Motorola to use TQM to produce defect-free radios at a rate of 99.99966%, or 6 standard deviations. You may remember from statistics that 1 standard deviation covers about 68% of the instances, whether we're talking about radios or test scores. 2 standard deviations equate to about 95%, and 3 standard deviations are over 99%. That's the number we usually use in total quality management or total quality environmental management control charts, which gets you over a 99.5%. Motorola was manufacturing so many millions of products that it wanted to reduce defects even further. They did achieve Six Sigma through a systematic approach to improving their processes, which is what we need to do as sustainability managers to reduce the environmental and social impact of all our processes, which, by the way, also usually helps the financial bottom line. The approach used in Six Sigma is most relevant to sustainability in reaching for zero waste and the circular economy. A systematic approach to reducing resource use, repairing or reusing things that might normally be discarded, recycling waste to divert it from landfill, and recovering energy or water that would otherwise escape or dissipate, and restoring the environment that has been disturbed by our use can only happen if we have a systematic look at our processes, whether they're in the office, on the assembly line, in retail stores, or in service businesses as diverse as restaurants or clinics. So what is the Six Sigma approach to process improvement? Well, first you have to define the problem. Then you measure the extent of the problem, whether in defects or resource use and waste. Next, you have to analyze your data. When and where, and most importantly, why do problems occur? Then you work on improving the process, and finally, you put controls in place to sustain the change. You can see in this graphic how Six Sigma lines up with TQM, Plan, Do, Check, Act. In the TQM planning stage, you need to identify the problem, which requires defining, measuring the baseline, and identifying root causes. When you identify a potential improvement, you should pilot a small-scale change to the process and then measure the results. Analyze the results to see if you need to make other tweaks and improvements. After it's fully implemented, you need to put the controls in to make sure the changes continue to have the desired effect. Let's take a look at each one of these. Each one of these steps has multiple tools you can use to accomplish them. This video has a selection of some of those that are most relevant to sustainability. The first step is define, and one of the most holistic ways to identify and define the problems is called SIPOC, for the 5 steps: defining suppliers, inputs, process, outputs, and customers. The purpose of SIPOC is to define a business process from beginning to end before work begins. List all of the suppliers, the inputs needed for the process to operate, a flowchart of the process, the deliverables, and the customers looking for the product or service from this process. In the next step, measure, you will take a look at each one of these to see where there might be problems affecting the triple bottom line, that is, affecting people, planet, or profit. Review the supply chain to a process. Are there any problems with human rights practices or resource extractions or manufacturing methods of suppliers? Are the transportation means chosen by suppliers causing harm? Can you procure the materials locally? Review the inputs. Does the process use toxic materials or scarce resources? Do the inputs include significant amounts of energy or water? Flowchart the process. Yes, include the flowchart in the SIPOC table. Does the process generate waste from poor quality? Are employees uncomfortable, such as from bending or squatting, or unsafe? Outputs. What are the deliverables from the process? The products, the services. And finally, you have to listen to the voice of the customer, also known as the VOC. Who are your target customers? What are they looking for in your product or service? You can gather this information through surveys or focus groups. Now it's your turn. Select a process in your business or your workplace that you would like to take in the direction of zero waste. Identify the suppliers, inputs, process, outputs, and customers for the process. Be sure to include a simple high-level flowchart of the process. Moving to measure again. The purpose of this phase is to identify where you should be measuring the process and then getting a baseline measure of the time, the errors, the quality, and the waste for each step of the process. Metrics can be used to identify the sources of waste, including hidden waste. You can use flowcharts, check sheets, and charts like histograms like this one, or run or control charts. Run charts and control charts are line charts that track things like energy, water, or waste over time. Daily is the most common, but you can also use time intervals as short as the number of seconds one step takes, or as long as weekly or monthly. Generally, you want to consider processes that happen regularly so that you can quickly see the results of your improvements. You want to examine them to see when the problem starts in the process. Analysis helps identify root causes of waste rather than applying band-aids, which is the unsystematic way that we usually use to repair a process. At this point, you've usually identified a problem, but you want to find the real cause of the problem. Here are a few ways that you can look for the causes of the problem. You can analyze existing data, like bills, to see if there are wasteful patterns. As you might notice, if there's a minimal decrease in energy bills, even though your company closes for 2 weeks over the holidays. You can use a cause and effect diagram to brainstorm all the possible causes that have a particular negative effect. This diagram, also known as the fishbone diagram, gives you categories of potential causes on each spine, like materials, methods, machines, measurements, people, and environment. that is, the workplace environment. The 5 whys is used to drill down into a particular problem identified along one of the spines to try to find the root cause, which, if fixed, will have a ripple effect. You do not have to ask why 5 times every time. You ask until you think you might have found the root cause, but you still have to confirm that through measurement. Finally, the interrelationship diagram examines connections and influence between 2 potential causes. If there is a significant relationship between causes, you might also do a 5 whys to see if one is affecting the other, or if there might be an underlying cause that affects both. All of these analyses are designed to find the root cause or causes of a problem. Once you have identified the root cause or causes, you can research or brainstorm potential solutions to the problem. If you have several solutions, you can use a solution selection matrix to help you identify the ones most likely to provide a cost-effective and easy solution that will have the greatest environmental benefit. The criteria you use in a solution selection matrix should fit the situation. Sometimes acceptability to the employees or customer delight are good criteria to include. You can also weight a criterion like cost if that is more important to the decision makers than the other criteria. Be sure the best option makes sense. If it does not, it might be that you missed some key criteria that will shift the balance to another solution. Once you've identified the solution, you should pilot it in a small-scale test to see if it actually does solve the problem. Measure the difference to verify the new process actually reduces its negative impact on the environment or the community. Finally, once you have tested your improvement and know that it does have a positive impact, you need to roll it out. Develop any procedures or checklists and training to standardize it so that everyone knows what the new process is. You should continue to track and measure the process to make sure the improvements do not diminish over time. Feedback provided to those involved in the process can help them continue their efforts, but be sure to provide positive, helpful, and supportive feedback so as not to discourage folks. Using continuous improvement to support sustainability efforts can have a ripple effect throughout the organization, encouraging others to find ways to reduce their impact and the impact of business operations on the environment. You should note that you can also use Six Sigma for developing new products. You can see in this flowchart that the first 3 steps in the Six Sigma process are the same, whether you are improving a current process or creating a new product. Then ask yourself whether you can or will be improving the current process or product or creating a new one. This question in the flowchart is DFSS or Design for Six Sigma. If it's a new product, you move into DMADV or Define, Measure, Analyze, Design, and Verify. There are some parallel steps to improving and controlling in the DMAIC. They are designing and verifying. Six Sigma has some additional tools for these steps, but we won't be covering those in this video. Now it's your turn. You've completed a SIPOC in the last activity. Now continue with listing the tools you would use to measure and analyze the problem and improve and control the solution. This is your plan so that you know how to proceed with the next step of gathering data, looking towards the goal of creating a more sustainable circular economy, starting with your own business. Now let's take a look at Lean. We discussed Lean in this lesson and practiced generating a current value stream map along with identifying some improvement opportunities. Now let's take a look at one of the lean tools to improve the efficiency of your processes. There are a couple of varieties of this tool. It's 5S or 6S, the difference being that S, the 6S, stands for safety. To improve the efficiency of your workplace, which helps the sustainability for both the people and the environment, you should sort, set in order, shine, standardize, review safety, and sustain the improvements. Let's look at each one. The objective of sort is to identify items that are not needed in a work area to get rid of them. This is done through a process called red tagging. During a red tagging project, you can examine your work area to identify any environmental health and safety issues at the same time, using yellow tags or other visual cues to identify problems to human health or the environment. Yellow tags highlight the environmental health and safety hazards or improvement opportunities. The basic steps in yellow tagging are the same as in red tagging, so you can implement them together or separately. Set in order. Arrange tools, parts, and instruction so that the most frequently used items are the easiest and quickest to locate. Designate a storage location and label everything. Eliminate time wasted in finding things needed for a task. Clean the environment and the workspace. Keep it neat and organized. At the end of each shift, put everything away. This is my downfall. Set a housekeeping schedule and assign responsibilities. Respect the workplace and the employees. Remove potential safety hazards, clean up spills on the floor, and report unsafe conditions. Standardize cleaning, inspection, and safety practices. All the procedures for a particular job should be identical if they're done by multiple employees. And all employees that are doing the same job should be able to work from any station with the same tools in the same location. Visual process controls should be in place to help people keep everything organized, and it should be obvious if something is out of place. Responsibilities for adhering to the first three S's should be identical and documented. Keep it up. Make 6S a way of life. Use a periodic schedule to audit the area, at least once a week for area supervisors and monthly for leadership. Create checklists or summary charts, like radar charts, to make the process quick and easy. And celebrate and congratulate progress. Now it's your turn. Complete a 6S sweep for one room or space in your workplace. Take photos to document the appearance before and after. Describe what you did for each step. And when you get to it, pay special attention to sustain so that you can keep it that way. Now, doesn't that feel great? The trend in today's workplace is to integrate Lean and Six Sigma into something creatively called Lean Six Sigma. As you can see from this graphic, how the two approaches dovetail to form a holistic system to improve both efficiency and effectiveness. Some are now adding sustainability to that as well. It's best to use one approach to improve operations and reduce costs and environmental and social impact so that all the tools and metrics are seen as part of one system. So, what have we covered in this session? Businesses have a significant impact on the environment and social issues, and it is our business to make that a positive impact. We can move in that direction by improving business operations that typically use vulnerable or toxic resources and create waste and emissions in addition to the valuable products. A systematic approach to process improvement can make a huge difference to reduce the negative impact and create a net positive benefit for the world. Let's start that process.